The Marine Toys for Tots foster care program is bringing hope to children who need it most. Every 2 minutes, a child enters foster care, often with only a small bag of belongings. More than 400,000 children face trauma and uncertainty, many before age 8. This May, during Foster Care Awareness Month, Toys for Tots is creating Room for Joy. In 2025, nearly 375,000 children received comfort through toys, books, and essentials, reminding them they are not alone. Donate now and change a child's life.
Good morning. This is Mike Stoller for the Stoller Real Estate Report. So we have something called office condominiums. People know what residential condominiums, but not everybody understands office condominiums. So today I have the condo king, I'll call him, the individual who is the principal, founder, and CEO of Rudder Property Group, who specializes in office condominiums. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Michael. It's an honor to join you today.
Okay, so tell my listeners what an office condo is.
So an office condo is much like its residential counterpart. It could be a portion of a floor or multiple floors within an office building where a office tenant, a company, a business, a nonprofit or organization can own their space rather than rent. Office condos are big in Europe and in Asia and other markets around the U.S., but for a variety of reasons, they've always been a small, hyper niche of a business here in New York. Office condos make up 2% of the 500 million square foot office market. There's about 12.5 million square feet of office condos in New York and about 125 buildings citywide.
Now, how does a building become an office condo?
It is much, again, like its residential counterpart. It's a business that's regulated by the New York State Attorney General. An owner of a building files a 350-page offering plan to the AG's office, and it generally takes 6, 9, 12 months to get it approved, and you can start selling units, floors, or portions of a building to owner-occupiers.
So who's buying today in this market? And then we'll go back what happened with COVID and prices.
Sure. So always this is a bit of a phenomenon, but even more so today is who's buying. I'd say over 80% of the office condo sales we make are to businesses and organizations where the principal of that firm was born abroad. Oftentimes it's businesses that are owned by Koreans or Indians or Israelis or somewhere where they come from. They have a cultural preference towards ownership, where Americans get spooked by New York City and the office market. Foreigners see this as a time as New York's on sale 50% off, and this is a great thing to purchase.
So here's the big question. People are buying, office buildings, but I don't hear of many people today buying built office buildings and converting them to office condos. Am I correct or incorrect?
It's always been a small niche in the market. I would say over my career, there's about one building citywide that gets converted to an office condo on average per year, something close to that. We recently represented Mac Real Estate Group, who converted 1619 Broadway, the old Brill building, to office condos. And we had a great success there, selling out office condos to owner-occupiers, to businesses that wanted to...
At what kind of price?
We averaged $400 a foot there for 18,000 square foot floors, and we sold it out within 6 months. And
most of the people from the music business?
None were from the music business.
Which is interesting because the Brill building was known for the music business. Carole King, Neil Diamond, and many others.
It was a very famous and iconic building, but what these buyers saw, again, many of them had a cultural preference towards ownership because they were born abroad. And they saw $400 a foot. It was heavily financeable. Many of them took advantage of 90% loan to value, SBA, small business financing. And
what are the rules? How do you get the SBA financing?
The rule used to be that you have to own and occupy 51% of the space. I think those rules have even loosened up, but these are loans that are initiated by a lender and effectively backed 50% by the government. So they end up being very safe loans for a lender like Bank of America. Even if the borrower is getting a 90% loan, B of A's exposure is only 45%, and the government's in a subordinate position on the back end there. So lenders love giving these loans, but you have to effectively be a user, and they while they lend on the real estate, they're really underwriting the business's financials. So if you're a business that's making money,
they're all requiring recourse.
They are requiring recourse. I would say that the purchasers that we sell to are not as focused on signing a personal guarantee as typical real estate developers are. That's like a big no-no in our business, although most folks do it. If you're a user, a business, or an organization buying office space for your own use, I think that like signing a personal guarantee is not their biggest holdup.
So the big question is, what happened a couple of years ago when prices were $1,000 a foot, and today we're talking about, let's say, from $300 to $500 a foot?
Yeah. It seems like a great buying opportunity right now to me, but the reality is office condos continue to fare well. However, they're not immune to what has happened in the overall B and C class office market. We've seen just such an extreme destruction of value of these office buildings. I remember 529 Fifth Avenue sold to a group of investors for, I think, $350 a foot. It's an unthinkable price. That's not an office condo, it's a total building sale. But the retail alone, this is the corner of Fifth Avenue and 44th Street, the retail alone's worth multiples of that. And we've just seen price levels go to a level we haven't seen since the early 90s. And
for example, give me an example of the building, maybe 425th Avenue.
425th Avenue is a good example. There were years before COVID where we were selling units there for $900, $1,000, $1,100 per foot in the building. We just closed a sale last month on behalf of Wyckoff for 31,000 square feet. Wyckoff had owned it for a long time, and it was leased to Major League Soccer. And we sold for $550 a foot to a Turkish bank. They were a foreign buyer who have, again, a cultural preference.
They're
for
going to use it.
Yeah,
they didn't buy it for investment. They bought it for use.
Correct. And at $550 a foot, I think that's multiples higher than what an investor might pay, and it was still a good outcome for Wyckoff, but considerably lower than where prices were pre-COVID.
Okay, what about 860 and 866 UM Plaza?
It's a building very near and dear to my heart. In 2013, Meadow Partners bought this 500,000 square foot building across from the United Nations from its longtime owner, Vornado, and they divided it into 100 office condo units. And we sold about half the building to owner-occupiers, to governments, to nonprofits, NGOs, and groups like that, and averaged $1,000 a foot.
How many nonprofits are buying their own space because they also get the tax advantage?
Well, for a while, nonprofits were selling their space. They had, funding crunches. They weren't using the space like they used to. So we were representing, and still are representing, a number of nonprofits who are who are selling and looking to dispose of space they weren't using. But now nonprofits are re-entering the market. There's great tax-exempt bond financing available for nonprofits, high loan-to-value, low interest rate financing. There's other grants that cover the equity portion for social service nonprofits. And nonprofits are exempt from paying real estate taxes when they own, but they don't. They pay taxes if they lease, unless they lease for a 30-year time. So we recently sold, I think, about 30,000 square feet at a building 207 West 25th Street across from Whole Foods in Chelsea to a church. And they are tax exempt. And
that's interesting. Most of the churches are selling their properties.
This church had sold their properties. They owned a number of properties in Murray Hill, and they sold a year or so ago to a developer. And they needed a new home for their space, and they're not as much of a traditional church. They're even running yoga classes and stuff like that, so they bought a large commercial condo from us.
So how do you secure your business?
Well, my relationship with...
As the condo king?
Yeah, I would say that my relationship with the real estate community is paramount. I've had a long career of being friends with you and other folks and other commercial real estate brokers, and I'm just known, and my firm is sort of synonymous with this hyper niche of a business of office condos. And anybody who has a requirement in that world comes to us, and we partner, we pay referrals, we do anything we can to capture that business and serve everyone properly.
So how do you expect 2006 and 2007 to do in the office condo market?
Well, I think we're on the road to recovery here. Office condos are more in lockstep with the office leasing market than they are in the capital markets. Cap rates and investment sales, that does not impact office condo pricing as much as rental rates do. Last year, we saw 41 million square feet of space leased in New York, the highest since 2019, and really, a record recovery of space absorption. This past week, we saw a $325 a foot sublease signed at 9 West 57th, and I'm told more are coming.
Right.
So I think that there's 20 million square feet of office space being taken off the leasing pool and converted to residential. I think all of these signs point to a recovery that's underway.
And what's your thought about the conversion of office space to residential?
I think it's a win-win-win, and the last administration, I think, pushed it through, and it's really a tremendous gift to New York. It's providing much-needed housing, in many cases affordable housing. It's taken older, antiquated office space off the market, and it's going to end up beautifying neighborhoods. I think most people outside of real estate can't appreciate what 3rd Avenue and 2nd Avenue in the 30s to 40s is going to evolve and going to become, much like what we saw occur in Wall Street.
In Lower Manhattan.
Yeah.
So I'd like to thank the Condo King
Thank you.
for his insight on the market, and he is the man to go to with regard to the office condo. He understands it better than most people. Thanks for being here, Michael.
Thank you.
77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.